Well, hello there, fam. Welcome to You Plant, We Water. I am your host, Dr. Toya Flowers, licensed professional counselor with a PhD in counseling, as well as a professor of, you guessed it, counseling. And as you should know by now, if you've been watching, but if you're new, no worries. Here in this corner of the world, we are focused on talking about faith, mental health, and relationships, trying to share insights, real world tools, practical tips, expert advice so that you can have the happy, healthy, thriving relationship that God wants for you. Now, a lot of times when I cover these topics, I will cover them using the three P's: little petty, professional, and prophetic. So keep an eye out for that. Today's topic is a little bit more serious, and it's a little heavy. Y'all know me, the magic of television. Look at this. But today, the name of our show is Love Shouldn't Hurt When Safety, Separation, and Sorrow Collide. And this show really is inspired by popular Instagram influencer, social media influencer, Ashley Janae, an absolutely stunning and beautiful young woman who fortunately recently lost her life. So we'll be talking a bit more about that in just a bit. But before I do, you're gonna be like, okay, she's all over the place because I'm also happy as well, right? We have our first annual Healing Exhortation and Restoration. We have our first annual Her Conference coming up on May 11th. Look, not May 11th. Look at me making up stuff. May 1st, 2026. There it is. And this year's theme, that was it, is Take Me to the King, turning your pain into purpose. We have six absolutely dynamic speakers, these breakout sessions, the keynotes, the whole, y'all, all of it is coming together and it is exciting. Every time I talk about it, I get goosebumps. But guess what? I found out as of earlier today, we have filled every seat in the house. 11 days to go, and this thing is sold out. So that is phenomenal. If you've already registered, I can't wait to see you there. If you didn't get a chance to register, I know, right? If you didn't get a chance to register, but you're still interested, I will be opening up a wait list and we'll see what we can do about making more seats available. But praise God, right? Because there is so much in store, y'all. These topics and what these women are bringing, we've got something for everyone. So if you didn't get a chance to register, like I said, that's okay. You can still go to the Facebook page, the Her Conference. You can leave me a message there. And if there's, enough people who are still interested, or, well, I shouldn't say enough. If there are a few that are still interested, we will do what we can to accommodate you. Because as you know, the whole purpose of this conference and the reason that it is free is I didn't want there to be any barriers, any reason for any woman to stay home who needs this, who needs to be around like-minded women, to be poured into and have that chance to what we are calling pamper your soul. So can't wait to see you all there. Another big thing that's happening, y'all, and God is doing all kinds of things. You Plant, We Water is going live. Y'all, this is great. This is a chance to be in the room. The topic is going to be who taught you love, right? All of us have got some stuff that we have learned along the way, some of it good, some of it bad, some of it we need to just completely forget. Like that Men in Black thing. They put that thing in front of you and it's gone. But whatever it is, you want to be in the room. We are going to be living, loving, laughing, and learning together, talking about who taught you love. Once again, the general admission is free. For those of you who are looking for a richer, more in-depth experience, I have created something called the Inner Court. All right. And if you're interested in the Inner Court, visit, you can visit, I now have a website, y'all. www.drtoyaflowers.com, where you can find out more information. You also can visit the Facebook page for You Plant, We Water. But that inner court experience looks like maybe before and after show things, talking a little bit deeper in some of the topics, special reflection moments. It's going to be great. So don't meet me here, beat me here. All right. So that's May 5th, Tuesday, May 5th. Okay. And doors will open at 6:30. All right, y'all. Now, I hate to go from super happy to something different, but I have to tell you, this incident with Ashley Janae, y'all, has been just unsettled in my spirit. I have been waking up unable to sleep, all kinds of things. And so I wanted to go ahead and do what I could, my little part, my little piece, to help make things better, given my background, my experiences. And so we're going to spend a little bit of time, one, creating some awareness around domestic violence, domestic abuse. Two, just talking a little bit more about this Ashley Janae experience and sending her family, her loved ones, prayer, goodwill, strength, and just hoping, three, that we can prevent this similar type of thing from happening to any other man, woman, or child. All right. So, having said that, it's time for the glasses. Okay. As I said, this is a heavy topic. We're going to be talking about domestic violence and people being unalived and things of that nature. If this topic is hitting a little too close to home for you, please do take care of yourself as you listen. And I wanted to be sure to remind you all, one, that you can pause, you can step away, do whatever you need to do. But if this is really hitting home, I want to share the National Domestic Violence Hotline phone number, because getting help and support is essential. And that number is 1-800-799-7233. Again, that's 1-800-799-7233. Okay, y'all. So let's talk about it, right? So when we talk about abuse in relationships, we are not just talking about physical abuse, right? So not just talking about hitting, kicking, pushing, things like that. You would be surprised the number of women who are unalived due to domestic abuse, who that was the first physical incident, right? The actual thing that unalived them. So it's not just physical, it's emotional, it's psychological, it can even be financial or spiritual, right? Signs that are often missed, things you should be thinking about. Do you feel like you're walking on eggshells, right? Like you got to say the right thing, do the right thing, or else it could go left. Feeling isolated from community, isolated from your family and friends. And this may oftentimes, y'all, this thing is so, use a $10 word, insidious, right? But oftentimes you may think, well, no, my partner isn't forcing me not to be around other people. But do they do things like get an attitude if it's a family gathering of yours, or pick a fight before or after you're going to go somewhere, or make you check in constantly, things like that. Abuse of any kind can also look like control disguised as protection, right? So when I was talking about that checking in piece, it could be packaged to you as I'm just trying to make sure you're okay, and things of that nature. But the beautiful thing, our nervous system, right, also known as our gut, our intuition, it can tell us when something is off. If you feel on edge and anxious a lot, those are the things to look for. Another sign that's often missed is this feeling of constant confusion, also can be known as or direct result of gaslighting. Okay? Gaslighting is when someone tries to convince you that the reality that you have seen and lived is somehow false, or that you didn't see it that way, right? So Obvious example, I've got this watering can here. If I were trying to gaslight you, I might say, you might say, "Oh, that's nice. Didn't you used to have a different watering can?" And I'll be like, "No, we never had a watering can. There's not even a watering can there now." And you think it, but I see the watering can. No, you didn't. I never did that, right? And this, y'all, gaslighting is whew, treacherous. If you've ever experienced it, you know. But those are some of the things. And what I want you to know, right, is Dr. Toya, love should never require you to shrink or silence yourself or to feel that you have to simply survive. Okay? When you're feeling or seeing something like that, that's not love. That's something masking itself as love, but not love. Okay? Another piece, let's see. I'll give a couple examples, right, about these different types of abuse. So, emotional and psychological abuse, a lot of times those two are pretty similar. You also sometimes hear the word verbal abuse, right? But it's really pointing to the fact that it's not physical. It's not, you haven't been hit or uh, strangled or kicked or spit upon or something like that. But emotional, psychological, and not financial, verbal abuse can look like putting you down, right? Name calling, um, making you question your judgment, making you think, well, you never get things right. Yelling at you, getting in your face, things like that. Financial abuse, stealing, people stealing from you, trying to control all of the household income, withholding finances from you, withholding money you might need to buy food and things like that for yourself, your children. All of that can be forms of financial abuse, credit card fraud, all kinds of things. You'd be surprised what some of these people are doing in the quote unquote name of love. And then spiritual manipulation or abuse. This sadly is true, right? And sometimes women are, I should just say women, people, right, are held in emotionally abusive relationships under the guise of faith and spirituality, right? But that is not God's plan. I want you to remember that you are a child of God, right? If you look at the Bible, if you are a woman, you are more precious and more valuable than rubies, right? That's not God's will that someone would mistreat or abuse or, Lord forbid, unalive you. So if you are experiencing anything similar to this, you want to try to find a way to get out of that relationship. Now, the reason I took a deep pause there, I said find a way, is because the absolute most dangerous time for a woman in particular is when she's trying to leave, that when she's trying to end the relationship. So it's something that you want to be very mindful of. You want to have a plan because it is dangerous. And like I said before, this is when women get hurt, even when they're thinking, but he never hit me before. There's so many stories, y'all. If you don't believe me, just Google it. So many stories of women who've lost their lives, y'all. And that guy had not been physical with them prior to that. But those other pieces, you would have seen some of that, right? But it's interesting as I have been trying to stay abreast of everything that happened in Miss Ashley Janae's situation, which we're going to talk about in just a bit. Um, what also came up was this idea. There's a new thing trending, or it was trending on TikTok, called an alpine divorce. Okay. And what an alpine divorce is, alpine divorces are when men take the woman that they are in relationship with either on a hike or to a foreign country or something like that, and either leave them, literally abandon them there, so that they may pass away or something like that. And this is a theme, right? There is a story a couple years back, two expert hikers, but he was obviously much better at it than the lady was. But they went on a hike in the mountains and he left her there intentionally and she froze to death, right? There Another story I saw on Dateline, I think they were in Manila, he pushed her off the cliff. But that's an alpine divorce is where they take you somewhere to abandon you in the relationship or unfortunately to unalive their partner. Why would anybody do that? Honestly, I don't know. But what I do know is that the laws and things like that in other countries are different. Even their system for protection and help is very different. And so sometimes it could be a way to um, try to avoid justice. Obviously, it doesn't work all the time, else we wouldn't be hearing about this. But I want you all to be aware of all kinds of dangers. This brings me to the sweet girl, Ashley Janae, and the situation that recently happened. I had like a minute and a half video I want to share with you all. So if we have that ready to go, beautiful. As we're getting that ready, you're going to hear from her parents, and they're going to give you a brief kind of update of what's been going on. And this happened, I think this has been about a week or two now since this has been in the media and people have been talking about it. Yeah. While we're waiting on the video to queue up, I will share a few more insights. So what you're going to see is that this young lady, as I said, was a social media influencer, and she was dating a gentleman who's supposed to be very well off. He took her to Zanzibar, to Tanzania, to propose to her, and then she ended up unalived. Okay. Let's see. Looks like they're trying to get it going. Y'all, ever since it's being covered.
For answers as to what happened to their daughter who was found dead in Tanzania. Today, the two spent the day in Washington, D.C., trying to get information from the embassy. They spoke with Action News yesterday, saying they were getting nowhere.
No one wants to talk to us. Like, just let us know what happened. That's the only thing we want to know is the truth.
There is nothing that's confirmed. We don't have anything from the police or law enforcement that states that there is a conclusion to anything. It's under investigation, and it's under investigation because it doesn't look right.
Robinson, a 31-year-old social media influencer who went by Ashley Janae online, was found unresponsive in her hotel room in Zanzibar and declared dead April 9th. Police say they're investigating it as a possible suicide, but investigators in Tanzania said she had been in a fight with her fiancé, Joe McCann, hours earlier, and the two were separated by hotel staff. He was moved to a different villa, which was about a 10-minute walk away from where she was staying. Her parents are now pushing for security footage from the Zuri Zanzibar hotel.
If there's security footage, that will tell the story. So we just want to know if there's any security footage, if there's anything just to saying that what he's saying is true.
The hotel hasn't responded to them, but did provide a brief statement to ABC News, saying they were deeply saddened by a tragic incident involving one of our guests. Tonight, the family's preparing to fly to Zanzibar to try to get answers in person.
I just know that I have to keep going forward. I'm never going to give up. And I just want the truth out there. I don't think no one else is going to fight for it the way we.
Yeah, right. So, y'all, what was interesting about this story has been unfolding in real time. And when it originally came out, I'll tell y'all that here comes the petty. When the story was originally released, they showed this beautiful footage of her getting proposed to and things like that. And then her fiance was saying that she unalived herself, right? And he was saying that she did so by hanging herself from a tree. Now we know better. We know ain't no, come on, here come the petty. There's a lot of things we know better. Mm-mm. So it was that right there that got the world a little bit suspicious with this story. Like, no, don't make sense. As Black people, we that's the last thing we're gonna do. First of all, second, the time, effort, and energy it would take for a young woman to do that in another country where she ain't never been. Come on, man. It wasn't making sense, right? Then the story changed to she unalived herself via what's that, like the robe belts that you use, and allegedly she was found in a wardrobe with that around her, but that ain't making sense either, right? So what ultimately over time, and the clip that I showed you all, that's a more recent clip where we got more information and we found out they had gotten into a fight earlier. We found out they had to be separated. We found out they had to be put into 2 different rooms. And what they do know is that she's beautiful, beautiful girl, but she lost her life due to strangulation. But I just wanted, it's just, as you can see, I've been following a story, and from the first moment when I heard that piece about a tree and all that, I thought, that's what got my attention. I'm like, I know that ain't right. And it's just been deeply, deeply sad, right? She had just called her parents excited, like, yay, I've been proposed to. This is gonna be so exciting. I'm so happy. And then they're fighting. What I want to do for any person that is going through, I want to normalize that experience. That's what abuse looks like. For those who see it from the outside and could be judgmental, like, why wouldn't you get out of that? I would never. It doesn't look like that. It's highs and lows. If it were bad all the time, nobody would stay. But what happens is that trauma bond forms, and that woman is thinking, I could just get him to the way he was just last week, we'll be okay. And then he is that way, and it goes back and forth. Also, as I told you, people who have never been physical before, when it gets to this point of trying to leave and things like that, something can happen. So I just want everyone out there to be safe. If you are a loved one of someone, yes, this is so sad. But if you are a loved one of someone who you think may be in an abusive relationship, and you might be thinking, what do I do? I've talked to her or him about it, and they don't want to leave. That's okay. They may not be ready to leave. They may not be able to leave. What I hope I've helped you to understand that it's not that easy. Leaving is a life or death decision, and you have to really think about that thing strategically. What you can do as that loved one, as support, is let them know you are there if and when they are ever ready to leave. Okay. Second, if they share with you various incidents that have happened, you can start to journal. Like I talked to, Keisha on April 21st, and she said that her and so-and-so had gotten into a fight and she got a black eye. Those type of things will help if she ever has to go to court. But the best thing we can do is just let that person know, I'm here. If and when you're ready to leave, I'm here. Okay? Because it may not be, it's the statistics say that it takes the average abused woman 7 times to leave a relationship, an abusive relationship, for a variety of reasons. Sometimes she goes back because she thinks it's going to be better. It could be better. Sometimes it's unsafe. And then when you factor in children and all of those things, it's a lot. And I think why I wanted to bring this to y'all today is not only has this happened with Miss Ashley Janae, but there's so many stories currently in the last week, particularly of Black women losing their lives. There's another wife who lost her life going through divorce with the former Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. And he also unalived himself. That just happened as well, maybe in the last week. There's a story here in Chicago where we're at of a young adult male who unalived his mother, a twin, right? The father had passed. So it's just, this is going to sound petty too, but I just want to say it. For anybody, right? Relationship breakups, they are hard. It literally, like I said, I've told y'all this before, your brain doesn't know the difference between heartbreak and someone physically sawing your arm off. It all registers as pain. And I know it. I know it's painful. But please, you don't got to take nobody's life. I have let all my exes know, if you ever get tired of me, just let me know. You just let me know. And if you really don't ever want to see me, I could be dead to you. I will pretend that we never knew each other. But you don't have to end it in that way. It's going to end their life and your life. And let's not even think about the spiritual ramifications, right? So I wanted to bring this to you all. I want to send my sincere condolences to all family and friends. Ashley Janae, I cannot remember the other women's names that I just mentioned, but all of the people who have lost a loved one, not only this week, but ever, to domestic violence. This is something we can prevent. This is something we can prevent. And it's not just on men to prevent it. Everybody comes to this earth through a mother. Mothers, talk to your sons. Fathers, talk to your daughters. This is something we can have be different. If this resonated with you, if you are in the situation, please reach out for help. If you would like to speak with me or anything like that, you can always reach me via the Facebook page for You Plant We Water. And now you can also reach me via my website, www.drtoyaflowers.com, where you can send a private email communication. But whatever it is, you're not in this alone, right? And even, let me just say this, since I just said it, it's all of our, if you are somebody and you know you struggle with your anger, or you have been having thoughts of unaliving yourself or of harming someone else because that pain has been unbearable, reach out to someone. You can reach out to me too. Reach out, y'all. Get help. We're not in this alone. And iron sharpens iron. Thank you all. I know this was a tough topic, but it's important. It's important. And hopefully we can do our little part to make a difference. Thank you as always for tuning in. For those who I am going to see at the upcoming Her Healing Exhortation and Restoration Conference, I can't wait. For those who I'm going to see in person at the upcoming You Plant We Water Live, Who Taught You How to Love, I can't wait. Get in the room. It's different, y'all, when we face to face. That energy exchange is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, having said all that, thank you once again. Remember that you plant, we water, and God gives the increase.